Hey guys, let's talk about Indycar. Today we're talking about someone who was gone far too early. So, who was Greg Moore? His full name was Gregory William Moore. He was born on April 22nd in 1975 and was a professional racing driver from Canada who competed in Indy Lights and the Championship Auto Racing teams, better known as the Kart Series, former Indycar Series. He raced in these series from 1993 to 1999. That's what Wikipedia is telling us about him. But he was so much more. Let me tell you the story of a talented and passionate man who loved to race since his early days. Greg Moore, born in New Westminster, Canada, had no other way than becoming a racing driver. His father, Rick Moore, owned a Chrysler dealership in a city close to Vancouver and raced Can-Am cars at the club level, but when Greg was 5 years old, his parents divorced. Until the start of his karting career, he lived with his mother and his two siblings, a brother and a sister. When he spent time with his father, he often climbed into his dad's race car and pretended to race by gripping the steering wheel. An interest and passion for racing was born. At the age of 6, his father gave him a go-kart, and Greg tried it out in the parking lot of his father's dealership. A few years later, at the age of 10, he started with competitive go-kart racing and joined the Westwood Karting Club soon after. He drove with the starting number 99 because he was the club's 99th member. Throughout his career, he has used the 99 as often as possible as it became his lucky number. His father acted as his manager, tutor, and financier, and he adopted the non-nonsense approach to his career. Next to karting, Greg enjoyed playing ice hockey. He was a goalie and hasn't been that unsuccessful. He was twice named Maple Ridge Athlete of the Year and won the British Columbia Hockey Provincial Championship. Greg Moore played in the same minor ice hockey team as future professional player Paul Carrea. When he was 14, his father urged him to decide between ice hockey and racing if he wanted to further develop in sports. Greg decided to focus on racing, and a well-known Brazilian F1 champion became his biggest idol. 3 times F1 champion Ayrton Senna. He went on to win the North American Enduro Kart Racing Championship twice, and after that, his father wanted to know whether Greg's achievements were down to his driving ability or the equipment. That's why he took his son to a racing school in August 1990, where Greg went on to win a race out of 40 other drivers. Track owner Richard Spannard was highly impressed of Moore's performance and invited him to a special competition. In a 3-day runoff, Greg won against almost 800 fellow drivers and learned many new things, such as locating the apex, avoiding accidents, and how to select a lower gear. Soon after that, he made the decision to step up to car racing in 1991. Greg Moore has competed in the 8-round Canadian Formula Ford Championship with Steve Callis as his engineer. Greg's father bought the car from England, and Moore had to compete against drivers double his age. He won a race and went on to get 4 more top 10 results. In the final standings, he finished 4th with 120 points accrued to his name. He deservedly was named Rookie of the Year. Greg Moore wanted to join the Canadian F2000 Championship, but the plans fell through as the series got folded, so he moved into the high-tier USAC F2000 Western Division Championship. On his way to winning the title, he took 4 pole positions and 4 victories. The championship was decided in the final race of the season, and Moore was voted Rookie of the Year again. Due to the fact that Greg Moore still wasn't 18 yet, he had some problems of getting a seat in any higher racing series. Moore's father talked to the president and CEO of Indy Lights, Roger Bailey, who finally agreed to grant Greg a provisional racing license for the 1993 season's first 2 rounds at Phoenix International Raceway and Long Beach. Moore showed his talent, and soon he was allowed to take part full season. He asked permission from Brian Stewart to take the 99 as his racing number because the number was assigned to Brian Stewart Racing in 1992. Greg went on to win the Rookie of the Year award and finished 9th in the final standings. In 12 races, he took 7 top 10 finishes, with his best result being 3rd in Portland. He was one of the fastest drivers on the ovals, but on the road and street courses he was lacking some speed. Before the next season got underway, Moore did a conditioning program, and his family home and dealership was mortgaged to allow him continuing with racing. Their financial situation forced Moore to drive conservatively to preserve tires 3 times longer than other drivers and not strain any mechanical parts. There hasn't been any money for additional equipment. In the first round of the season, he surpassed Paul Tracy's record as the youngest Indy Lights pole position starter at the age of 18 and went on to become the youngest driver to win a kart-sanctioned event. He won 2 more races and finished 3rd in the driver's standings. That earned him a 2-day test session with Penske Racing's kart team on a test-specific road course. His reputation and speed helped him getting a contract at Forsyth Racing. It has been a contract over 5 years. In '95, Moore went on dominating Indy Lights with winning 10 out of 12 races. He broke the record for consecutive wins at the start of the season with 5 wins and the record of the most wins in an Indy Lights season, both held by Paul Tracy. He led more than half of the laps in the championship that year. After testing a kart racing car for Forsyth Racing, it was announced on October the 19th that he would join the kart series in 1996. Greg Moore debuted with his number 99 car in the opening round in Miami. After starting 6th and a stop-and-go penalty for an illegal overtake, he finished a strong 7th. 2 races later, he got his first podium with a 2nd-place finish at the Service Paradise Street Circuit. Greg Moore finished his rookie season in 9th place and 2nd in the Rookie of the Year competition, right behind Alex Zanardi. Moore began the season with 3 top 4 finishes, which includes a strong 2nd-place finish twice. At the 7th race, it was time for his first win. In Milwaukee, he ran the final 92 laps without pitting and held off Michael Andretti to secure his maiden kart win in superb style. Greg Moore was 22 years, 1 month and 10 days old, the youngest driver to win a kart race ever. Only a week later, he won again in Detroit, and Moore pushed himself into title contention. In the end, he had a bit of bad luck, and technical issues in the final rounds led him to finish 7th in the final driver standings. In the season opener in Miami, Greg Moore got his first ever pole position and broke the record for the youngest pole sitter in kart history. In the race, he finished 2nd because a problem during a pit stop saw him dropping down the order, which he had to regain again. At the Rio 400, he took his 3rd victory with a stunning overtake in the final laps on Alex Zanardi. At the end of the season, he already had 4 pole positions and finished in 5th place in the standings. With his strong overall performance, he established himself as one of the kart's best drivers. Entering the 1999 season, the media as well as kart's fan base considered Moore as a favorite to win the championship. Moore spent much time testing on road and street courses and told the media his objective for the season was to win as many races as possible. He did so in the first round to take his 5th career win in Miami from pole position. He went on to finish in the top 10 4 more times in the first 6 races of the season. Due to the fact he drove an underpowered and unreliable car, his title hopes slid more and more away while he was dropping down the order in the driver's standings. In June, he entered discussions for a new contract for 2000 and beyond as his 5-year contract with Forsyth Racing came to an end. He found a new cockpit and would replace Al Unser Jr. at Penske's car team from 2000 onward. Moore signed a 3-year deal. According to kart driver Tony Kanaan, Moore planned to spend 3 to 4 more years in kart before moving to NASCAR. He saw much potential in the NASCAR series, as he once said, "I think your career can be longer over there. You can be older and still be competitive because of the way the cars are. It's not as physical demanding, it's more a thinking man's kind of thing." Before heading to the last race of the '99 season, let's take a look at his stats. He raced 72 times in kart, he has won 5 races and went on to finish 17 times on the podium. He took 5 pole positions and hasn't finished the race 30 times. Moore was described as having a Gilles Villeneuve-esque car control that accompanied his fearless style and his incredible determination. In his kart career, he was well known as an oval track specialist, as he has taken 4 out of his 5 victories at this type of track. He drove near to oversteer to locate the optimum amount of grip. Fun fact: regardless of the blue color of his team's primary sponsor, Players, Moore wore a pair of red racing gloves to emphasize the pride on his Canadian nationality. But let's go back to the last round of the 1990 season. What happened on one of the darkest weekends in the history of American racing? It's the last race weekend before Greg Moore would move to Penske. In the morning, Moore was knocked off his motor scooter by a paddock vehicle in the hospitality area because its driver was blinded by the rising sun. Greg Moore suffered a deep laceration to his right hand that required 15 stitches, bruising to his right hip, and a fractured index finger on his right hand. Uncertain whether Moore would participate, his team employed Roberto Moreno as an emergency reserve driver. The doctors deemed Moore unfit to race, but after a 6-lap test session, the medical staff allowed him to race, but only with a protective hand brace and a modified steering wheel. Moore was forced to start at the back of the grid as he missed the qualifying. Following a race-rolling start for a 4th-lap accident for Richie Hearn that entailed 5 slow laps behind the pace car to allow Hearn's car to be cleared, on lap 10, Moore was 15th when he lost control of his car midway through turn 2, possibly due to losing the slipstream of a car ahead of him. He attempted to regain control but left skid marks on the track as he spun 150 meters down the circuit and into the field grass with more than 350 kilometers per hour. That's 220 miles per hour. Moore hit an access road lower than the damp grass, went sideways into the air and slammed into an immovable infield concrete barrier, lacking a tire wall to absorb the impact. The impact was registered at 154 G. That means 154 times your own body weight. That's huge. The car was split into 2 pieces and Moore's helmet struck the ground multiple times. He has been transported to a local hospital as soon as possible, but was pronounced dead at 1:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with severe head and internal injuries.
Semi at 90 miles an hour and just being pulled right into the back of it.
Oh! Oh, an enormous crash. Oh my God. A terrible crash. Yellow comes out again. We're going to hold on identifying this car because there are 2 cars like it in the field.
With losing such a talented driver and kind human being, the whole racing community was shocked. As a mark of respect, CART, Indy Lights and Formula Atlantic retired Moore's car number 99 from the list of those available to drivers in all 3 series.